as scholars of the congressional and presidential process, we've got these horrible numbers from CBO, very, very, $2 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see, and getting bigger. And we have great partisan divisions. We have a president trying to push the envelope on presidential authority. Do you think, looking at the budget and what can be done there, is it more likely that there's going to be some sort of a grand bargain, some sort of a revival of the Simpson Bowles thing? Maybe not this year, but I mean, maybe as sort of a solution. Or should we be looking to incremental change, doing what we can on a Congress by Congress basis? Ron, what do you think?
Per force, because I can't imagine setting up anything that would have real authority in a short period of time. Per force, I think we will be using option B, which is to say we will temporize. We will have a reconciliation bill or possibly two this year, and something like that again next year, in which the Trump administration tries to achieve as much as it possibly can through that process, as the Biden administration did. And as referred to earlier, Reagan was really the first president to use reconciliation, which dated back to the 1974 act we talked about. He was really the first president to say, look, this has got some serious capabilities to change priorities in the federal government. I think we will see something along those lines. And if the majorities hold for the Republicans in the House and Senate, they should be able to do something like what Ronald Reagan did in 1981. And then we'll see something like that again next year. Then the question becomes, what happens in the midterms of 2026? And we're off to the races in the midterms of 2026. The Senate looks pretty tough for the Democrats, but the House could, well, we're talking about not even fingers on one hand.
Yeah.
So who knows? It's entirely possible that the Democrats could come back to the majority in the House, and then essentially the second Trump term becomes a 2-year term in terms of budgeting, just in terms of budgeting. And then we would possibly have the potential for some sort of grand bargain at that juncture.
What do you think, Tom?
Well, I think that the chances of the Democrats taking the House again are fairly high, given the midterm itch. But going back to the original point, we've been talking about the alarming plight of the budget, and how much worse it's headed. And I think it's noteworthy that we're also talking about a budget proposal under reconciliation that's going to add anywhere between $4 and $6 trillion more to the deficit. So instead of talking about what we're going to do to reduce the deficit and debt, the plan in Congress is how we're going to increase it by $4 to $6 trillion. Now, how and when this gets resolved, I think incremental is, well, we're incrementally adding to the deficit and debt. Ultimately, in terms of a resolution to the deficit and debt, having worked on this for 25 years, I think we're in a situation where nothing is going to get resolved until it has to, and that means a crisis. And the sad thing is, and the disappointing thing is, that's the worst time to work on solving the problem, because then you have super high interest rates and you are going to make massive cuts that are going to hurt a lot of people. So, the old saying is, you fix the roof when the sun is shining, not when it's pouring.